Right. Happy Sunday to you, viewers, and that depends on where you are and the part of the world, because we might have some countries that are still on a Saturday. So you are welcome to your program, our program, and that is a session with Yoruba Referendum Committee. Alagbafemi Odedeye is here, and we'll still be talking on that core topic, referendum, the journey so far. And of course, we were talking about Nigeria. Alagbafemi Odedeye, you are welcome to the program today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and happy Sunday to you and all our viewers and listeners. Thank you. And don't forget to help us share our program. So thank you.
Right. Thank you. Now we're starting off on a brighter news, and obviously the release of the kids and teachers that were kidnapped by Ansaru terrorist organization. I remember last week we were talking about it, and I think both last week and the week after, I asked you how positive you are about the release of those kidnapped victims, and you said, I mean, things are looking positive. Is this a good news for you?
Yes, obviously, in all fronts. Number one, at that time we were saying we have no idea what the government is doing, and we don't want to speculate on what they
Yes.
are doing, and we don't expect them to be giving us daily briefing of what they are doing. So we just hoped at that time and prayed that they are doing something positive. I even remember saying, even if they have to pay them,
Yes.
let them pay them and get those people out. That's just the immediate problem of getting there. Unfortunately, one of them was beheaded and killed,
Yeah.
which that's a different story. So that's the immediate resolution of the problem. And then we kept on saying that should now spur another immediate engagement of the problem itself. At that time, the governor for your state was asking for suggestions for medium
Mhm.
term and long term, meaning even at that time they had a short time, an immediate time strategy that they are doing. So when he asked for the immediate or short term or whatever, we made that proposal known in writing and in our publication that they should now revamp the entire security architecture at the local level. And we are making the same case today, that let the first line of security be the Obas in their domain. Let them take care of the immediate. They are going to be the overseers or the administrators, but let the traditional institution itself, that is the Obaship, should become the first line in terms of securing and security and organizer, while the state government can then provide logistics, training, assistance, and all the rest, because that makes the Oba completely responsible for the security of his domain. Beyond that is now the whole question of what we are now seeing as a state police, where, according to the version that is being prepared, the state police that they are having is simply an extension of the Nigeria police force. So they will have different bureaucratic checks and balances and all the rest. But as we said, the major task, when we say security, at least for us in Yoruba land, we are not just talking about ordinary kidnappers. I remember we mentioned the Ibadan Ade Labu kidnapping and
Yes.
compared it with this kidnapping. That terrorism is a completely different issue entirely. Kidnapping is one of his weapons. So
Mm-hmm.
terrorism should ordinarily be the responsibility of the federating units. But the state police they are talking about now, they place terrorism in the hands of the federal police, completely removing it from the state police that they are talking about. Whereas the very essence of having a state police is to fight terrorism. That's the most fundamental issue, because one, that sends a message to the terrorists that even though the federal government might have its own federal agencies collaborating with the different states and stuff like that, but the primary responsibility now rests with the states. So their financiers and their excuse me, and their strategies and all the rest will have to take that into consideration. So terrorism will no longer be separated from the existential issues of the communities. And then everyone in the community will be, although they are aware, they are not just empowered. We know where the terrorists are coming from. We know who they are. We know what they are trying to do, displacement and this and all that and all the rest. We all know it, but we are not empowered to fight it. So that is why if terrorism is placed in the hands of the state police, if the federal want, they can be part of it on a smaller level. But if it is primarily a state affair, then we have become empowered to address it any which way we want. And
Right.
that is why we keep saying state police is a political issue. It's not just an administrative policy where you will say, let's have a state assembly do this oversight and all the rest of it. And then it makes us, even if they want to claim that it can be misused and all the rest, we own our lives now. Let us misuse it
Right.
ourselves. Don't presume. They should not presume that we don't know what is good for us. And if we misuse it, that will be, we are not going to cry to anybody now. And if we allow it to be misused in our community, we have no one to blame, but we have to be empowered. And that is the meaning of empowerment. That is the essence of what they call local policing, not just the structure. Having a DPO office, commissioner of police that is answerable to this and that. Those
Right.
are minor issues.
All
So
right.
I think it is a happy development, and then we will now ensure that we move from being happy about their release and tackle substantive issues moving forward.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll still come back to the issue of state police.
Yes.
But still talking about the kidnap and the release, the strategy that has been um, pushed out now that was used as claimed was that the military structure having identified the group that was involved in the kidnap,
Yeah.
located the family members of those kidnappers or
Yeah.
terrorists. I mean, they
Yeah.
are terrorists because Ansaro is a terrorist organization.
Yeah.
So they were able to identify. They know once they know them, those that are their orientation is towards the Ansaru terrorist organization. Then they start picking up their family members, their friends, and go, and they made videos and send it to those people as well. We've got your own family, and if you kill anyone, then we'll kill these ones as well. I think the same thing has been done. I can't remember very well now in the north, in one area in the north, where the people within that community went and arrested the family members of the people that were part of the group, the group that attacked their community. And they told them, listen, we are not going to release your people if you don't release our people as well. Now, what that is bringing out, there's a key question, which I want you to help us open up a bit. And would that mean that the security structure of the country has a sort of a list of people that are either involved in terrorism or have a sort of as supporters, or they have a sort of an orientation for that community? I mean, could we safely say that they've got like a list, even if it's not a complete list, of people that are causing this havoc? That would be the first question. The second question, which everybody's been trying to ask, is that if they have such a list, why should the government wait until there's an issue before they start taking them up? Why can't the government take them up even before they cause havoc?
Okay, let me start from the second question. Although they are connected, because the answer to the first question is a short answer. They do have a list. We have been told several times that some people have been arrested, even as far as in is it UAE or Dubai or somewhere, where they have a list of these terrorist financiers and all this and all that. So we do know that there is a list somewhere, and that all the various government interactions, security agencies with international organizations and all the rest show that that list must exist, right? And in fact, when is it the second in command of ISIS or somebody was killed by US forces or something a short while ago, of course, there is knowledge. They know. They know these things. Second. And then when you have, especially in the north, where you have governors holding peace meetings, public peace meetings with these terrorists who are heavily armed, they know them. They know. So there's a list. Now, the question now dovetails into the second question as to, okay, why do we wait for something to happen before doing that? Strikes at the heart of what we call state police. Because, and the empowerment I mentioned earlier, because if you are empowered to secure and take care of your environment, you know that we are faced with this problem in Nigeria, whether they call it farmers, others, clashes, or banditry, or things like that, or even what they call Christian genocide and all the rest. We know it is happening. So when we are empowered to take care of ourselves, we will be more proactive because we know our lives is at stake. If this federal government or the federal security agencies have this list, as we said, and they are not acting on it, there is some constraints that is preventing them from doing so, whatever the constraints are. But the federal government is so distant from the people that the inactivity of the federal government is affecting the security of the peoples. So if the security agencies, whichever branch, has a list and says, okay, well, these are the financiers, these are the foot soldiers, these are this, these are that, and all the rest, okay, they can set up a mechanism. Let's monitor them. Let's see this, let's do that. But, the government is not being proactive because it is not acting as an offensive organization. It is acting as a defensive organization, a defensive mechanism that, okay, we know these people. If they do this and this and that, this is how we are going to respond. Now, if the people are empowered to take care of their security and we are faced with this kind of situation in Nigeria, the first thing the people will do is, what if they come to our environment? What shall we do? Now, how do we prevent them from coming to our environment? These are the questions we'll be asking ourselves. And based on those questions, we'll be providing answers. That is what we call being proactive. That, we don't, there are so many reports when they strike somewhere in anywhere, Middle Belt or the North and stuff. And there are various Yoruba news outlets, commentators, and so. Don't allow them to come to Yoruba land. We don't want them to see we are in danger. All kinds of analysis and exposes that they arrested some people under some trailer somewhere. The trailer was carrying people under all kinds of things. So we know. So if we are empowered to take care of our security, we will be more proactive, because that knowledge that we have, because we are already saying we don't want them in our societies. We don't want them. So now we prepare ourselves to make sure that anyone that misses road to come to our community, we will know how to deal with it. And then how do we prevent them from even coming to our community? So that's the crucial thing. The federal government reacts. It's a reactive mechanism to wait and see what happens and then act. Empowering the people is a proactive mechanism where self-defense and self-consciousness of one's existence is at stake. So in our community, in any Yoruba, let me use Yoruba now, our community, if we know a sponsor of terror among ourselves, I don't think we are going to wait until he strikes before we strike. In fact, I don't even think if we are empowered, because they even exist within Yoruba land, but they are being protected not by official policy, but by the reactive policy of the government. So that's why when you have these illegal miners and so-called illegal miners, they are all over the place. People know them. They know where they hide. They know where they do all those things, but they are not empowered to take action. So that is the key. That is why the whole thing about insecurity and state police is not a bureaucratic policy matter. It is existential. It strikes at the core of our existence. And that means we have to be empowered to do what we need to do. So I think that's a short answer to the question. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much, Alabafemi Odedi. Just before we leave this Oriri topic, there were reports that some voices from the north have started calling on the federal government to do likewise. That just the same way they took action, they took the required steps for the Oriri kidnap victims, and they put all resources in there to get them out, that they should be doing the same thing and the north, especially with all the kidnaps and the banditry that is happening there as well. However, the public, generally, people will have their different opinions, and some people are saying, practically quoting Governor Seyi Makinde as well, that Oyo State is not Chibok. And people have been saying, but in the north, which you mentioned when you were answering one of our last questions, that even some of the governors in the north were having peace meetings and negotiations with them and co. So people are just bringing it back to the faces of those northern voices that, well, if your governors or your community leaders are already interacting with those terrorists, and to the extent that even I think one of the governors said, we know them, we
They
know
live
their
among
family
us.
and so
Yeah.
that, then you really don't need the federal government assistance. If you know them and you are negotiating with them, then you should do the rightful thing. But this borders back to what you were saying, that if the state has not been empowered to deal with it, that means the totality of the security for now still falls on the federal government.
Yeah.
So, just a straight question: do you see a difference between the Orire kidnap scenario and what has been happening in other parts of the country, especially in the north?
Well, there's a difference. Number one, although it happened, but look at the name itself, Urire. What does that mean in Yoruba? Is that not good luck or something around that, something like that?
Uh-huh.
And kú oríire o fún àwọn tó wà ní Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́ àtàwọn Yorùbá ẹ kú oríire o. Now, leaving that aside, what happened in Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́, and it cannot be because they are two different things. Just imagine that Governor Seyi Makinde of Oyo State will be sitting down in some village and some armed terrorists will come and say they are holding peace meetings near Ògbómọ̀ṣọ́. I'm almost sure that the governor will not return to Ibadan safely if he does that. Now compare it with the happenings in the north that we all know. It's all in the, so it's not a secret. Plus the fact that most of the financiers and this and this and this that behind terrorism are from that part of the country. Plus the fact that there is a political agenda behind it, especially in the middle belt, where the intention is to drive people away from their ancestral lands. So the in a sense, and that is number two. Number three, the 12 northern states, the so-called Sharia states, in direct violation of the Constitution, created an environment that makes these things happen. Because one of the major reasons for these terrorists and all the rest is, their jihad. They want to, and stuff like that. And then you now have a state emboldening them by saying they are practicing what they are asking for. So in their eyes, what the state is doing is not enough in that respect. That is why they now take up arms to say they are going to go beyond what their state is doing. So you have all the elements of what I would call a negative empowerment in the north. That is, the northern states already empowered themselves by their Sharia laws, Hisbah police, morality police, and all the rest, which encourages the terrorists to act the way they are acting, unlike us in the south. So when they say the president should do this and that, I think the governor of Oyo State gave them an apt answer by saying, this is not Chibok. Because, the story of Chibok is even different from this one, if we go into details. So there is a cultural, social, and political element to everything. So if we want the federal government to do exactly the way they handle the Urire people in the terrorists in Urire, then the people in the affected communities in the north must also be able to call their governors into account. That basically, when the Urire thing happened, what did the governor do? He went there and commiserated with them, and I think him and the husband of the principal, they were both almost crying,
Yeah.
Abby.
Yeah.
They were almost crying. You don't find that in the north. So it shouldn't even come into play at all. That is part of an attempt to. This is part of an attempt. All these things to blackmail President Tinubu and then accuse him of favoring his own side and all that, when it is very clear and very obvious to everybody that sponsors of terrorism, and the governors also admit it, just like what's his name, even although not on the same scale, was it Peter Obio who said we know IPOP, they live among us with their brothers and sisters and all the rest of them. So the governors in the north also make the same claim, and the imams, they make the same claim. They are living with us, they are doing I'm saying in Yoruba land, I don't think any Yoruba of any status will come up and say that he knows the terrorists, they are our brothers, ẹbí wa ni wọ́n, ẹ fi wọ́n lẹ̀, they are family members. I don't think so. And that makes all the difference in this thing. Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Alagbafemi Odedigi. Now let's move to the state police.
Yeah.
The chief of army staff or the minister mentioned about state police, and he was saying something along the line that the state police should not be used for ethnicity, tribalism, and all that. And the first question, or what came out straight from there, is if the police, we have police in Oyo State, for an example, which is a core Yoruba state. How is it possible that someone will not say, they've used ethnicity and tribalism for this, if about 80 to 90% of the officers are Yoruba? We know definitely, already we know about the East, and we know about the North as well. We've seen it in the past elections.
Yeah.
We know almost 100% of the officers will be from that region. Yeah. So if we have each of those states and the region they belongs to, I think we've got 6 regions, which are clearly sort of demarcated. And it's very clear that from that region, which are almost all based on nationality, if we can say that, that means the core officers, the greatest percentage, if not 100%, will be from that region. So what is the minister trying to pass across if he was talking about ethnicity and tribalism at this time?
Yeah, it's a, not to insult him, but it's a lack of understanding. How can you say an ethnic group, which they call tribes, which we call nationalities, how can you say we should not bring ourselves into our own problems? So when you say don't bring ethnicity into it, you are saying, okay, the Yoruba, don't care about Yoruba, just address the problem. It doesn't make any sense, because the problem is happening among the ethnic, it's happening among the Yoruba, and it is happening from another source. Even if it happens among them, even if it happens among the Fulani or anybody, it is still an ethnic issue. So how can a defense minister now say, okay, we want to solve your problem, but don't bring yourself into it? That is what he's saying, which doesn't make any, I mean, all this thing about trying to deny who we are.
Yes.
That is the essence, and that is not going to solve any problem, because we are going to contribute more to the problem than resolving it by saying you don't exist and you want to solve the problem that affects you. How can that be possible, that they want to solve our problems for us without our own input into it? So that is why we are talking about this whole idea of state police as a political issue and must be addressed by the federating units. I mean, you can't say don't bring ethnic to it when you are talking to an ethnic. Who is a Nigerian? A Nigerian, no matter the way you describe it, you will look at the name, and the name suggests an ethnic. There's no Nigerian name that has no ethnic roots. There's no Nigerian society that has no ethnic root. And you are saying we should not bring it into what we are doing. Then you are telling us to get out, that we don't matter. That is what it is. So we have to let these people know that their understanding of the problem, their lack of understanding, is affecting the resolution of the problem itself. And we have to be upfront about it. We are not insulting them. He's a general, Abi. So no problem with that. But you can't say, I don't exist. And that's what he's telling us. That, look, don't bring yourself into solving your problem. It doesn't make any sense at all. And we should let them know.
Yeah, because in the real sense of the state police in, let's say, for instance, in Oyo State, they could decide to have a certain, obviously the English will be the general one, but they could decide to have some codes in Yoruba for their operations. So they should be free to, to plan and deploy their own security architecture in their own way.
In fact, sorry to cut you short.
Yeah,
I like the way you bring in that code, what you said. The Yoruba can say several things with just one word. And it will be understood by everybody. And you don't need to go round and round and explain anything. So if you have a police formation and the newest expression they've turned about now is intelligence. Maybe security is about intelligence. So why are you saying you are deploying intelligence when that is what you should do? So when they are gathering intelligence and all that, like even undercover operations and this and this and that, you can speak in codes, a way you can use among yourselves and get to where you are going without. And then you are saying we should not bring that. Sorry to bring that in. I just thought, it's a good, and then you say don't bring it into it. No. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Right. No, sir. So it's just bringing it to that place that where they should be allowed to have their own formation and decide how they want to operate. Obviously, in the north, they will do theirs as they want. In the east, also they will do theirs as they want. Because of our time, I want to ask a key question. Now, the way the Oriere kidnap has been resolved without payment of ransom or exchange with the arrested terrorists that are undergoing this thing now, that are undergoing trial. What message do you think this sends to, one, the terrorist organization, and then two, the international community?
Well, quickly, because of the time,
for
the terrorist organization, like we said, it shows that they can operate what they want in Nigeria, but when they come to certain parts, like they come to the West, something else will happen to them. That is one message to the terrorists, and we should build on that. And that's why we keep saying the security should be local. Now, to the international organizations, it's also a reflection of how, the entire security architecture in the world, especially in West Africa, that these people operate freely in the Sahel, in northern Nigeria, and all the rest. And then this is our way of telling them that even though we are operating under the Nigerian sovereign entity, don't mess with us. Now, the Nigerian army is not a Yoruba army. The DSS and all the security agencies that took part, they are not Yoruba agencies, but they operated in Yoruba land. And from the accounts they gave, they got information about the relatives, information about all these people, and then they said, look, if you do anything to our people, we'll do this to your people. So, and it is marvelous in our own eyes. So for the international community, they should also emulate what happened, that the socio-cultural and political approach to terrorism is the key. And it will send a further message if President Tinubu now goes ahead and go beyond the bureaucratic state police they are doing and completely revamp the security architecture of the country to make sure that there is that socio-cultural input in its establishment.
Okay. Thank you very much, Alagba Femi Odedeyi, and thank you very much also to our viewers, and both those that are live now and those that will be coming on this program. Remember, we are on here at 8 p.m. UK time every Sunday. You could send us message by sending it to yorubaref@gmail.com. And don't forget, it's very important for you to help us to share this video and also to like it. So until next Sunday, stay blessed. Alagba Femi Odedeyi, you do have a wonderful week ahead.
Thank you.